Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello learners, welcome back to the Microeconomics and the Applications course. Today we will be starting with the 5th unit, which will talk about the theory of firm, or we will be discussing in this various types of market structures. Today is the first lecture of this unit 5 and I am Dr. Aparna Samudra, who is coordinating this course as well as presenting this lecture. So learners, let's start our lecture by knowing what are the learning objectives. What are we going to talk about in this lecture? Let us have a brief look on that. First thing we will be discussing is we will be defining what do we mean by a market structure and what are its various types. Thereafter, we will start with the features of a perfect competition. Then we will understand the short run and long run profit maximization of this perfectly competitive firm. So 3 things we will be starting today. We will just take a brief look as to what do we mean by a market structure and what are its various types. And then we will start with the perfect competition. What do we mean by perfect competition and how does a firm in perfect competition derive its short run and long run profit maximization. So let us start with today's lecture by understanding and defining market structure. Before really going into the technicalities, just visualize that what do you think is a market? What do you think is a market? Market, when we try to define market, we say it is basically an arrangement that is facilitating buying and selling of goods, services, factors of production, or even any future commitment. Or we also say that market is a place where buyers and sellers meet with one another and get involved in certain transactions of buying and selling. So market can be a physical market or these days it is also an online marketplace. So anywhere where buying and selling of goods, services, factors of production or even the future commitments, that is when we call as a forward market or a future market, that situation where buyers and sellers are meeting is called as a market. So market is no more bounded by the physical boundaries. Anything, even online marketplace is a market where people are digitally are meeting each other and making arrangements for buying and selling of goods and services. Now, after defining market, we should understand that in this particular, from the point of view of economics, we talk about something which is called as a market structure. What is a market structure? Market structure basically refers to the number and distribution, size of buyers and sellers in the market of a good and service. So what is a market structure telling us? It is telling us that in a particular market of either a good or a service or both, what is the number and size of the buyers as well as the sellers. So it is basically telling us that how many buyers or how many sellers are there in the market and what is their distribution. So it is indicating the number of buyers and sellers. It is also talking about the market shares. That is what you mean by the distribution of size. That is whether the companies there are very having a very small market share, or is there one company which is dominating the market with few other small sellers, or if there is only one seller. So or In case of buyers, is there only one buyer of the good or service, or there are many buyers of goods and services, or there is one particular group of buyers which is creating something as one group buying from many sellers. So market structure will indicate the number of buyers and sellers. It will also talk about the market shares, and it will talk about the degree of product standardization. That is, whether the product which is being sold in this market, is it similar? Are all the sellers selling a standardized product, or are they bringing some change in the product which they are selling? Also, the market structure will talk about that how easy it is for the firms to enter the market or exit the market. So market structure is, from the point of view economics, is we are understanding that what is happening in the market in the perspective of the buyers and the sellers. So in economics, as I told you, when we talk about market structures, we have already understood what do we mean by a market structure. There are various types of market structures. Broadly, we define or we group it into two. One is called as a perfect market, other is called as an imperfect market. Right? And this classification of a perfect market and an imperfect market is broadly based on that how far the seller has the controlling power in the market. Okay, how far that seller can influence the market. So that is how we divide the market into perfect market and imperfect market. Now here what do you see here is, in this particular screen, that we are seeing the types of market structure. There are four types. Four types means the first, that is perfect competition, is grouped under perfect market, and rest of the three, that is monopoly, monopolistic competition and oligopoly, they are grouped in imperfect market. So these four market structures are divided broadly in two types of market structures: imperfect market structure and perfect market structure. In a perfect market structure, we see this perfect competition, and whereas in imperfect market structure, we talk about taking into account monopoly, monopolistic competition and oligopoly. So let us have a quick look as to what are the features of these markets. Of course, we will be talking about all these in detail, but right now let me just concentrate on small features, which are the distinguishing features of these markets. So if you see perfect competition, we said it is that type of a market structure where there are large number of buyers and sellers who are selling identical products, and there is no restriction on the entry and exit of the firms in this particular market structure, and these buyers and sellers have perfect knowledge. So this is the idealistic market structure that we are talking about. When we move to monopoly, as the name is indicating, mono means single. This means it is that type of a market structure where there is only single seller, but the number of buyers is large. Okay, and this single seller is selling a product which has no close substitutes. And this kind of a market structure has high entry and exit barriers. That is called as a monopoly. Then when we talk about monopolistic competition, as the name is indicating, this particular market structure has features of both perfect competition and monopoly. What are the features of perfect competition? In monopolistic competition, there are large number of sellers and large number of buyers. There are no barriers to entry and exit. So this is something similar to perfect competition. But the products that they are selling are not identical. They are selling differentiated products. So there is product heterogeneity. There is products are not identical. Some differentiation, maybe because of branding, maybe because of labeling, is there. So that is called as monopolistic competition. Then we have what we call as oligopoly. Oligopoly means that in this market structure, there are only few firms in the industry. Right. Whereas when we saw perfect competition and monopolistic competition, there were large number of sellers. Whereas in monopoly, there was only one seller. But when we talk about oligopoly, that there what is happening is that there are only few firms, but large number of buyers. Products in this case can be identical or they may be differentiated. And there are barriers to entry and exit. So these are the four types of market structures that are divided in economics. For today's lecture, we will be concentrating on what do we mean by perfect competition and how a firm which is in perfect competition is deriving its profit maximization level of output in short run and in long run. So let us understand, we have just seen in brief that what are the features of perfect competition. Now let us understand it in detail. So when we want to define perfect competition, we say it is a market in which there are many buyers and sellers, and these buyers and sellers are selling the products which are homogeneous, and their sellers in this market can easily enter or exit. Okay, so after this definition we will divide in small features and understand them. So what are the characteristics as per this definition of perfect market? Let us understand. The first feature we say is there are large number of buyers and sellers. That is, there are so many buyers and so many sellers that none of them can influence the market price. There are so many buyers and so many sellers that if any one of them today says, okay, I don't want to sell, or if a buyer says, okay, I don't want to buy, they will not have any impact on the demand and the supply. Therefore, none of them, buyer and the seller, can influence the market price. Therefore, we say in perfect competition, the firms are price takers. The price is determined by the market using the demand and supply, and every firm will sell the product at that given price. Therefore, they are called as price takers. So that's the first characteristic. Second, the firms, what the product that they are selling is homogeneous or standardized. That is, because every product which the seller is selling, it is identical. There is no difference in that product. Therefore, what happens is that the buyers will not differentiate of the products of one seller to another seller, because everybody in that market is selling products which are similar. Let us say, assume you go to a vegetable market and there are many sellers who are selling potatoes, and the potatoes are identical. There is no difference in the quality. Potatoes are identical. This means as a buyer, I will not differentiate whether I buy potatoes from seller A or seller B or seller C, because all of them are selling the products which are homogeneous and many of them are selling that product. Therefore, buyers are not differentiating. The sellers are so many that they cannot influence the market price. So the firms in perfect competition will become price takers. Then there is freedom of entry and exit into the market. In long run, if the firm thinks that it is earning losses, so it will exit. If in short run the firm is making losses, and then the industry becomes unattractive for that seller because its cost is very high compared to the market price, this seller may decide to exit the market in long run. So there is no restriction for the firm to exit or leave the industry. Similarly, if this particular industry is earning more than expected profit, which we call as supernormal profits, then it will attract new sellers to come and sell in this market. So no, there is no restriction on the entry of these new firms. So there is freedom of entry and exit into this market, and that basically takes place in long run, right? And then because their products are standardized, there are large number of buyers and sellers. What will the competition be based on? Non-price competition is insignificant because the quality is exactly the same. Price is determined by the market, and there is non-price competition is insignificant. Kind of competition is almost absent. Then there is perfect knowledge of the market. That is, all sellers and buyers have complete knowledge of the market. That is, what is selling, what is the quality, everything they are aware about. Then there is perfect mobility of the factors of production. It is not only the goods and services which are mobile, it is also the factors of production who are free to move from one occupation to another occupation, from one place to another place. And then there is absence of transportation cost. That is, these transport costs are absent. Keeping in mind these features of perfect competition, we will now be discussing that how price and output is determined in this market structure. So let us start with the price determination. What have we said till now? We have understood the characteristics of perfect competition, wherein we have said that there are large number of buyers and sellers, and the sellers are selling homogeneous products. Therefore, all these firms are price takers. So how is this price determined in this market structure? Let us understand this. We all know that the equilibrium price is determined by the intersection of demand and supply curves. The point where the demand is equal to supply, that gives you your equilibrium price. So the price is determined by the intersection of market supply curve given by SS and the market demand curve given by DD. They are intersecting at the price 10 rupees. And this means that every seller who is in perfect competition is going to sell its product or any service at this equilibrium price of rupees 10. Okay, whatever it wants to sell, it will have to sell at this particular price of 10. Therefore, the firm becomes a price taker. It has no influence on the price. Whatever is the price decided by the market forces of demand and supply, the firm will sell at that particular price. Therefore, we see that the demand curve given by your P has become horizontal. So this yellow line is a horizontal line showing the firm will sell its product at price of 10, which is determined by the market, and whatever it wants to sell, less or more, will be sold at the price of 10. We have already understood in the previous units that price is the same as your average revenue, right? But in perfect competition, your marginal revenue will also become similar to average revenue. Why? Because every extra unit of this firm is being sold at the same price of rupees 10. So if you're selling one unit, you are selling at 10. If you are selling one extra unit, you are again selling at 10. Another extra unit, you are again selling at 10. This means every additional unit is giving you the same average revenue, that is same price you are selling it. Therefore, always remember that in perfect competition, two things are there. One, the demand curve is horizontal or perfectly elastic. And in a perfect competition, the price, that is your average revenue, is equal to marginal revenue. The curve will remain the same. AR and MR, they merge together. they are the same, because essentially the firms are price takers, and whatever they want to sell, less or more, they will be selling at the same price. Okay, so when we are going to derive the short-run equilibrium and the long-run equilibrium in perfect competition, then we will remember that our average revenue curve and the marginal revenue curve will be the same and they will be horizontal. Okay, after this, let us understand the short-run profit maximization. We have understood in the previous lecture of Unit 4 that what are the profit maximization conditions. We saw that there are two conditions, first order and second order. What did the first order condition say? It said that a firm will maximize the profit at that level of output where its marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost. And after that point, your marginal cost curve should start rising. So when we try to find out this short-run profit and maximization output level in a perfectly competitive market, three things may happen. The firm in short run may earn supernormal profits, which we also called as economic profits, normal profits, or losses. Okay, let us understand all these three situations graphically. Let us take the first situation of supernormal profits. What are they? This is a perfectly competitive firm in short run. Its average revenue is the same as marginal revenue. Right? We have just understood the demand curve is perfectly elastic, that it is horizontal. What is profit? Profit is the difference between total revenue minus total cost. Right? This means that we have to now see, after this average revenue and marginal revenue, we have to see what is the average cost of production, as well as in order to take the marginal approach towards profit maximization determination, we should also know the marginal cost. Because if you know the average revenue, we can derive total revenue. If you know the average cost, we can derive the total cost. But for profit maximization, we need to find, along with MR, the marginal cost curve. So this becomes your marginal cost curve. We have seen it as U-shaped. Then this becomes your average cost curve, which is also U-shaped. We know that the marginal cost curve is going to intersect average cost curve at its minimum. But we have to first determine the profit maximizing level of output, which will be that point where the marginal cost curve becomes equal to the marginal revenue curve. Now you see here, it is getting intersecting, marginal cost is intersecting marginal revenue at 2 points. We will not consider this first point. Why? Because after this your marginal cost is declining. We will consider the second point. Okay, where the firm, your MC is equal to MR, and the firm is going to produce OQ star level of output. Okay, so the firm is selling at this given level price, let us say P star. Its marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue when the company is producing OQ star level of output. So what is the total revenue? Total revenue will be your this particular area, that is OP, this particular point multiplied by this point. So this becomes your total revenue. Correct? Now we have to determine total cost as well. What is the total cost? Total cost, in order to understand total cost, we will see where this Q star is cutting your average cost curve. So this blue rectangle which we have made, that is OAQ star, into this area, this blue rectangle represents your total cost. What is this profit? This leftover area, this shaded area that we see is your profit. Right? So the firm, as we have just seen, this is your OP star. Right? OP star EQ star is your total revenue. OQ star BA This particular is your total cost. This blue rectangle is your total cost. What is the profit? This AP star EB, this rectangle that is the difference between total revenue and total cost is the profit. Excess of your revenue over the cost. This is called as the supernormal profit because your average revenue is more than the average cost. Why we are calling it as supernormal profits? Because accounting, in terms of accounts, it is profit. But in terms of economics, it is supernormal profits because the factors of production are earning more than what is expected to keep them into this particular activity. So we are earning more than what I was required to keep all these factors of production into this activity. So this is supernormal profit. Second situation is of normal profits. Again, we will be talking about your average revenue and marginal revenue, marginal cost curve and average cost curve. Now you see some difference in the position of your average cost curve compared to the supernormal profits. Okay, what is the condition of what is the condition for profit maximization? Your marginal cost should be equal to marginal revenue. Okay, so the firm is at a situation like this. This is OQ star where MC is becoming to equal to MR. Okay, so this particular shaded rectangle, red shaded rectangle, TR is your total revenue, that is OP star EQ star. This becomes your total revenue. What is your total cost? What is the cost of producing OQ star? So for that, you draw this Q star, see where it is touching your average cost. It is touching at E. This means that OP star EQ star is your total cost as well. So your total revenue is equal to the total cost. So the firms in this case are making normal profits, or in accounts what we call as break-even level of output. So in normal profits, the average revenue is equal to average cost. See the difference between supernormal profits and normal profits? I just told you. In the supernormal profits, your average cost curve was below your average revenue curve, or your average cost was less than average revenue. Therefore, the firm was making supernormal profits. When the firm is making normal profits, the average revenue becomes equal to the average cost. That is, it is only enough to keep the firms or the factors of production into the same business. Third situation is of a loss. Loss, we all know, is a situation where the revenue is less than the cost. So again, the same situation, average revenue, marginal cost. Now which curve will come, learners? It will be the average cost. See, what has happened position to of the average cost? What has happened to the position? It has shifted up. It has shifted up and it is above the average revenue curve. I think now you must be able to understand that what will be the area of loss. What will happen? The firm will produce at its profit maximizing level of output, where what is that level of output, learners? OQ star. What is the cost of production? The cost of production is this area, no? That is OQ star BA. OABQ is this is your, let us again see this. This particular pink rectangle that you see is your total cost. Right? That is, in order to produce OQ star, you are spending how much? This pink rectangle. Right? But what is the revenue that you are earning by producing this, by selling OQ star? It is this particular shaded area, red lined area, this rectangle. Right? That is your revenue. What is happening? The solid pink area of cost is more than the area of this red lined total revenue. This means that there is a loss of what amount? What is the loss? Loss is P star ABE. This particular is your loss. right? So this is the situation. The firm is incurring losses because in short run, the average cost of production of that level of output is more than the price which has been set in the market. So your average revenue is less than average cost, then the firm will make losses. But all these three situations that we have discussed will happen in short run. What will happen in long run? Let us see. In long run, as we have just understood the characteristics of perfect competition, we had said in long run there is freedom of entry and exit of the firms. The firms, new firms can enter the industry, old firms can exit the industry. So what will happen in long run? There is unrestricted entry into and exit of the firm. So when the existing firms are enjoying supernormal profits in short run, that is, their average revenue is more than the average cost, what will happen? New firms will get attracted into this industry to gain these profits. So when they enter, the supply of the commodity in the market will increase because many of them are entering in the industry. So if there is no change in the demand and supply is increasing a lot, this will reduce the price. Hence, your supernormal profits will get wiped out. In case the firms are making losses in short run, many firms who are unable to sustain the losses. Remember, yesterday in the previous lecture of deriving the supply curve, we had said that the rising portion of the marginal cost curve, which is above the average variable cost curve in short run, is the supply curve in short run. Means all the firms whose cost is so high, their variable cost is so high that at that particular market price, they are unable to even cover their variable cost. They will like to exit the market in long run. They will like to exit the industry. So when they exit, when many such firms exit, what will happen is that there will be a reduction in the supply of the product. If there is no change in the demand, the equilibrium prices will rise. Hence, in long run, learners, please see this, this is very important. In long run, perfectly competitive firms earn only normal profits. That is, their AR is equal to MR is equal to MC is equal to AC. So in long run in perfect competition, there will be no supernormal profits, neither there will be losses. Every firm in the industry will make only normal profits. Let us see this situation graphically. Let us understand the effect of entry. Okay, now the market price has been determined at 20 rupees by the intersection of demand and supply, market demand and market supply. The firms are selling at a price of 20. Okay, what is happening? There is excess profit. Let us say the firm is selling chickens. So the firm is selling 60 kgs of chicken and earning the profit equal to the shaded area, supernormal profits. What will happen now? If these firms are earning so much economic profits in short run, it will attract new firms to come in. Many new firms will start coming and thinking that, okay, chicken is giving so much economic profits, more than expected. Let us also start selling chickens. It is easy for them because we have allowed factor mobility from one occupation to another occupation. What will happen because of this? The supply, with this addition of newcomers, this supply curve will shift from SS to SS dash. Your demand is not changing, supply has increased. Prices, let us say, declined. Of course, will decline from 20 to 15. So, new firms, the firms will, since they are price takers, they cannot sell at 20. They will sell at 15, which is this particular situation. Sorry, one moment, please. So, they will be selling at this particular situation. What has happened? The firms that were earning supernormal profits in short run will now be able to earn only normal profits or zero profits. You see this? This extra profit is now wiped out because everybody is selling at the point where AR AR1 is equal to MR1 is equal to AC is equal to MC. So in long run, the supernormal profits due to the entry of newcomers have been wiped out. And every firm is making only normal profits. This is the effect of entry. Now, if the firms in short run were making losses, what will happen? There will be exit. Now, let us understand the effect of exit. Again, let us say this is your demand and supply. The price is 10 rupees. So, the firms are selling at 10. Let us say 60 kgs. Losses are there. Why? Because the cost is more than the revenue. This is the losses. What will happen? All those who cannot sustain these losses because this price of 10 is lower than their average variable cost. So they feel that there is no point staying in this business. Let us exit. When they exit, what will happen to supply? Supply is going to decrease. So this decrease of supply is given by SS1. Okay. This means if there is no change in demand, your prices, equilibrium price is going to rise to 15. Right? Because supply curve has shifted. What will happen at this 15? What will happen as this 15? Everybody is going to sell at a higher price. No. So these losses will be zero now because now everybody is going to sell at a higher price of instead of 10, they are going to sell at 15. So in long run, all the firms who could not sustain because of they could not cover their average variable cost or total variable cost, they exit. With this exit, decrease in supply. Decrease in supply led to increase in price. So the losses they were making are now wiped out. So in long run, they will be able to earn how much? Only normal profits. So what have we understood? We have understood that in long run, in a perfectly competitive market, there will only be normal profits. So let us now summarize what we have understood in perfect competition. We had said, of course, we defined the market structure. We saw the brief characteristics of each of the market structures. But what is perfect competition, on which the focus of our lecture was today? That it is a market structure where there are many sellers selling homogeneous products. Firm is regarded as a price taker because they have no influence on the market price. Their average revenue and marginal revenue curve are horizontal and they are the same. In short run, the firm could make supernormal profits, normal profits, or even losses, depending on where their cost curves are. Whereas in long run, the firms will only make normal profits. Why? Because there is freedom of entry and exit. So excess profits are wiped out by entry of new firms. And if there are losses of the firms, these firms exit. Decline in supply, decrease in supply, raises the price. So all the firms who were remaining, for them, the losses will be covered by increase in the price. So that is our first kind of market structure, which is perfect competition. And food for thought I would like to give you is just try to find out that do we really have a perfectly competitive market structure anywhere in any kind of a good or service, and if it is present, what try to find that what happens to the price, whether people try to leave or do not leave, or your perfect competition do you think is an ideal market structure? It only remains in books or is actually in there? So that is a assignment which I will leave for you to understand. And in the next lecture, we will be talking about the monopoly, that what happens in monopoly. Till then, my dear learners, happy learning.